friends, my name is Gabrielle and welcome to Prometheus Reads. It's been a while since I've done an actual book-ish video. This is going to be part one of a book haul video because I've gotten a lot of books recently and I would like to try and show them off because it's exciting. I also really like doing book haul videos because I feel like my tastes in books have changed over the years, especially while I've been having this booktube channel. So it's interesting to see what kind of books I kind of gravitate towards now versus like compared to my other book haul videos, what books I would gravitate towards. Anyway, let's get started. The first book I have is The Travel Detective. Now this is by Peter Greenberg, who is pretty much like a professional traveler, I guess you could say. And in this book, he gives tons of tips on how to find the best hotel deals, on which airlines give you the best seats, and which ones have like basically the best class to sit in that's affordable. And since I travel so much, I really like getting these kind of travel tip books because it really just does make it a ton easier. So that is book number one. Book number two is Travel the World on $50 a Day by Nomadic Matt, also known as Matt Kepnes. And I've been following the Nomadic Matt website for years now. I get a lot of my Pinterest travel lists and basically how to save money when you travel to these places from Nomadic Matt. So when I saw this book at the used bookstore, I was like, okay, I have to grab it because I already follow this guy on his website and listen to his blogging tips, and I feel like just having a book version of this would make it a lot easier to help with my travel dreams and desires and all that. Can you sense a theme? I really went hard into the travel category this past weekend when I went book shopping. These next two books are by the same author, and I grabbed them because they just looked so interesting. They are also travel themed, but they're more travel memoir themed. The first one is The Sex Life of Cannibals by J. Martin Truce, and the second one is Getting Stoned with Savages by the same author. Now I picked up this book first because I was intrigued by the title, obviously. And I looked at it, it's basically like this, when he's 26, the author decides that he's not happy with his life and he's gonna go live in a perpetual vacation island, which is an island in the South Pacific in the Republic of Kiribati. Basically, he's like, yeah, like it's totally gonna be this super chill place and I'll just be a beach bum and whatever, and then realizes how living there is different from vacationing there, and you know, it's really interesting. I think it's really cool, especially for those who are maybe inexperienced at traveling, who think that maybe living abroad will give them a better life and not realize that no, a lot of the same problems you have in one country you'll have in another, but just in different various instances. And then that's why I also picked up this one, because it just seems like he's a very comedic writer, and just from the titles alone the books sound interesting. So I'll let you guys know how that is. Maybe I'll do like a travel themed what to read Wednesday after I read these ones. The next book I have I got from Goodwill, and that is The Queen of the Night by Alexander Chee. This book I really like the cover of because I'm all about the minimalist aesthetic recently. When I read the back cover, it seems really interesting. It's about an orphan girl who leaves the American frontier and goes to try and make a life in Europe and ends up becoming this Paris opera sensation, and there's a ton of mystery and chances at like immortality and having her name live forever. And so it just seems really interesting and very like kind of one of those underground cult like secret society type books. So I was just really interested in that. The story itself kind of reminded me a little bit of Julie d'Aubigny, who is a French opera singer that I covered in my podcast A Murderous Affair, and who was also like a really fantastic fencer. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about her, I'll link the episode that she's mentioned in the description down below. The next book I got is The Dark Room by Rachel Seifert. I think I said that right. This one's kind of one of those books that takes place over generations. So it starts off with a young photographer in Berlin in the 1930s, and then also tells the story of a 12-year-old girl who in 1945 who is left in charge of her siblings, finally through a teacher 50 years after this who's kind of struggling to deal with his family's past history. It seems very interesting. I really do like a lot of historical fiction, and because I just recently was covering World War II in my podcast, I've been kind of leaning more towards those books around that time period. Like I just covered a trio of really well-known Dutch resistance fighters, which were the Oversteegen sisters and Hannie Schaft, who were amazing people who helped really kind of did a bunch of stuff for the Dutch resistance during World War II, and not a lot of people know about them. So since then I've kind of been getting more into historical fiction or just general nonfiction set during that time period. So when I saw this, I really wanted to pick it up and read it. The next book I got is After You'd Gone by Maggie O'Farrell. This is about a woman named Alice who boards a train in King's Cross, and then when she gets off at a station in London, she steps into traffic and then spends the rest of the book in a coma. And she's sliding in and out of consciousness as she's listening to these conversations and kind of trying to remember what happened to trigger that event, and if it was really an accident, a suicide attempt, or if someone had pushed her. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. Now we're gonna jump a little bit into true crime. I got Ted Bundy, Conversations with the Killer, The Death Row Interviews, written by Stephen G. Michaud and Hugh Ainsworth. This is the book that kind of inspired the Netflix series that I watched recently. So when I saw it, I kind of wanted to read it. Staying in the realm of true crime, we have Flagstaff's Forgotten Cowgirl by J.K. Hoffman. This I picked up actually at the Tempe Book Festival, and I picked it up because since I've been doing my podcast, The Murderous Affair, I've been really interested in reading about women in history who maybe aren't as well known or just don't get the recognition that their male counterparts do. And from what it sounds like, Lizzie Hoffman was very much kind of like one of those Wild West cowgirls who almost reminded me of Kiss and Kate Barlow from Holes, and a lot of chaos followed in her wake. So I was really interested by her. I want to read this book and possibly even mention her on my podcast next. We'll see. Also, the author is apparently a direct relative of her, so that's also really cool. So that's probably why she knows so much and was able to give her such a good voice. Now, jumping into the realm of young adult / general fiction, we have Hindsight by Mindy Tarkin. There's a lot of like magical realism in this, embedded in like modern technology, modern day civilization. I'm really interested to see where this one goes, and I may just do like an entire video reviewing these specific books from this author in particular. The next one I picked up was The Infinite Now, also by Mindy Tarkin. It is set during the First World War and kind of has that same magical realism vibe. A story about a fortune teller's daughter and how she struggles with her ambitions with the reality of her world. I'm a huge fan of magical realism in anything. And also I'm a sucker for pretty covers, and it's the soft matte covers that I love. So I was just gonna get the book on top of that, just for those reasons alone, purely. Finally, the final book I'm mentioning in this book haul is my last one from Mindy Tarkin. Mindy Tarkini, I've been saying the name wrong. It is Deepest Blue. It's kind of like a fantasy book about this city that's only seen at starlight, where everyone's lives is already mapped out. And Mateo is excited for his role that he's been waiting his whole life to get, only to find out that when he doesn't get that role, he has to fill his life with something else, and goes on kind of this self-affirmment journey to figure out what he wants to do with his life and make his own path. The cover is beautiful, of course, same matte thing that I totally love, and I'm very excited for this book. And that is my part 1 of this book haul. I actually have way more books that are in boxes next to me right now, but I think I'm going to save those for another video. So if you like this video, let me know in the comments down below. If you have seen any books that you either have read or look interesting and you'd like me to do a review on, make sure to let me know. And if you haven't checked out my podcast, make sure you do. I will link that in the description down below. A Murderous Affair, where we talk about women in history known for mayhem and murder. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay.